For more on this, let's bring in Jamil Jaffer, former Associate White House Counsel to President George W. Bush and founder of the National Security Institute. So let's break down what the president had to say. He says that he's familiar with President Xi and they have very little misunderstanding. So if that is the foundation of this foreign affair, what does that portend for the Biden-Xi relationship? How's this going to unfold?
Well, Arthel, I think the president is hopeful that the Chinese and the United States will be able to cooperate on certain issues like climate change and the like. I think that's going to be hard to do given that China's building half the world's coal plants already. But the president is optimistic about that. At the same time, I think the president is clear-eyed that there are differences between us. We don't agree on Taiwan. We don't agree on exports of certain types. The U.S. just recently put in place significant restrictions on Chinese ability to get semiconductor technology as well as to get parts for manufacturing semiconductors. So there's going to be something of a contentious conversation. And the president said, look, we're going to try and figure out where our red lines are and try to understand each other. Hard to believe that there's going to be any real deals cut, though, at this conversation.
Yeah. Okay, but here are a few red lines. You kind of mentioned them, Taiwan, North Korea, trade. I mean, so how opaque and dense will those red lines be?
Well, that's one of the challenges I think that we have is figuring out how much to convey and how much to hold those lines. As you know, in the Obama administration, we set that red line on Syria, didn't enforce it. That led to all sorts of challenges. The president is going to have a hard time deciding, okay, where is my line on Taiwan? He's made clear publicly saying that we didn't intervene militarily to protect Taiwan. At the same time, as Jackie just said, the White House walked it right back. And so the president's going to need to be very clear with President Xi in order to make sure he understands where our red lines are. At the same time, he wants to build that cooperation, that relationship. That's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, because President Xi has said, okay, put more military in the area, and that's going to, tee me off. President Biden says that he and President Xi have, to outline the most important things to each of them going into the next 2 years. So what do you think will be tops on the wish list for each president?
Well, for the United States, certainly we're going to want to talk about China's relationship with Russia. They just entered into this new no-limits partnership in the immediate lead-up to the Ukraine conflict. We want them to put pressure on North Korea to stop launching ballistic missiles towards us and against our in the area of our allies. And we're also going to want them to stop threatening Taiwan. They just sent 36 planes over the Taiwan Strait and bombers into the air defense base of Taiwan. That's a real problem for us. The Chinese on the other side are going to say, look, you guys have a lot of tariffs on us. You put this pressure on us about semiconductors. Taiwan is an internal matter. Let us deal with that. And stop saying that we engage in genocide in dealing with our Muslim Uyghur population. So there's going to be a lot of tension in this conversation because both sides have things they feel very strongly about. And the question will be, is there any middle ground to work together? The White House is optimistic on climate change. I'm not so much.
Yeah, and if President Xi is saying, hey, don't look at our human rights violations, don't talk about it if you want to talk to me about any kind of relationship with the U.S. I mean, that's a little bit, I don't know, that's a little bit of a restraint, I think. What do you think, finally?
No, that's exactly right, Arthel. He wants us to not talk about all the bad things they're doing to Muslim Uyghurs in Hong Kong, the threats they're making to Taiwan. And at the same time, he wants us to buy goods from them, sell them advanced semiconductor capabilities, sell them tools. That's unlikely to happen. You've already seen the pressure on President Biden from Congress on the human rights issues. He's going to continue to face those pressures here at home. It's going to be hard to make any deals with President Xi at this meeting.
It's going to be something to watch. I tell you what, and Jamil Jaffer, we will have you back to talk about it again and again and again. Always good to see you. Thank you, Jamil.
Thanks, Arthel.